everyone, super excited and pumped about this message today. I mean, this whole series has been awesome about family. We've talked about how God can use your family no matter what you think your family's like. We've also been talking about praying together as a family, and today we're going to be talking about, and I'll let you listen to the message because it's pretty awesome. I just also want to do a little disclaimer. I had my son with me in today's message, so you're probably going to see him a couple times in the video, and plus my son Steven and my wife kind of jumped in, bringing me an amazing, I'm actually half done now, but in the video I got a sweet little coffee for myself, so you'll probably see that as well. And it's going to be really jumpy because my video ended up being like 30 minutes long, and so I'm going to cut and paste a lot of footage. But I will tell you some amazing things that are coming up. The one thing that I really want to push is that we have graduation. And if you're a student at New Life Church that is graduating this year, I need to know, like, as soon as possible, because we are going to be celebrating you. Our hope is that we're going to be able to drive around and go to your house, all of us youth leaders, and we're just going to have a little house crash party. And we're just going to give you some prizes and some things that we really think that you could use and need as you jump into this next chapter of life, let's say. So hey, let me know, message me, that'd be great. Next is this, the amazing race that is coming up. You are going to want to be a part of this. It's all families are involved. If you got a baby all the way up to 18-year-old, you're in. And the whole point is we're going to give you a bunch of clues starting at the church. You figure out the clues, you drive around, get pictures of yourself at those locations, and the one team or the one family that gets most pictures or most locations visited wins. There's a $200 reward. I mean, come on. There's also prizes that we'll be giving out throughout the day. I think one's like, 5 different gas cards. Go figure. If you don't win, at least you got your gas paid for, right? We might give some 5-hour energies out just because you're gonna need it to keep going. It's a 5-hour event. 5-hour energy, 5 hours, 8 to 1. Perfect. Some of them is gonna be drinks, like a coffee shop. You show up, the first 5 there will get a coffee. So those will all be color coded. You'll know which stations or which locations have prizes at them. I guess that's it for now. Oh, the most important part. The event has been pushed to June 20th, starting at 8 a.m., ending at 1 p.m. June 20th. It's going to be amazing. It's in the name. Just be a part of it. So with that said, let's get started with our message for today. All right, it's time to get into this amazing topic for today. And I'm gonna say this is actually a tough subject. And go figure, the main point for today is pretty much talking about how this is a tough subject. The main point for today is not so typical families have tough conversations. Oh. I hate conflict. I hate having tough conversations. I guarantee you that you're probably thinking, yep, I don't want to have tough conversations. What I did this week was I actually posted on Facebook a couple days ago, and I just said, hey guys, can you please answer these questions and help me preach the message for today? And I had some amazing stuff that you guys posted on Facebook, and it actually helped me with my message. If you're wondering what that sound is, it's actually Jonathan. He's hanging out with me today. Say hi, Jonathan. Can you say hi? Hi. I love that kid. He's getting so big. He's 3 pounds. 3 pounds less than Steven. I think Steven weighs 22 pounds. He's like at 19 pounds. This kid's a chunk. He is definitely going to be a big boy. Way taller than his daddy. So, where was I? Jonathan, you distracted me. I need some coffee. All right. So, I have a story in my life that I want to share with you about a really tough conversation that I had, and it wasn't that I initiated it. It was actually my friend. And I'm talking about families, of course. And you have people in your life that I would consider family members. Even if they're not related to you blood-wise, they're people that care about you, like best friends. That is your family. And you know that they're family is because when a best friend sticks with you through all of the junk that you put them through, that's a good friend. That's a family member. So I have a friend. His name's Mike Race. If you don't know him, he's really tall. He's handsome. He has an amazing beard, and he works in the sound booth. He and I like to run together. At least we did until we both have bad knees now. And one of the things that I was struggling with some bitterness, and I didn't see it. I was completely blinded by it. And I just remember we were driving to go to, I think it was Back Bay, was it Back Bay Harbor? I don't know, it's in Portland. It's a 3-mile run. And we're on our way there, and I was just discussing with him some stuff that I was just really hurt by. And he stops me and he says, "Hey Steve, I feel like you have some bitterness. And I think you just need to be careful on what you say." In that moment, I wanted to explode. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I wanted to say something like, "Dude, you don't know me. What are you talking about?" But when he said it, it also made me feel like a little bit of guilt. So I didn't say anything, and I just started pondering it. And I actually got even more angry, like, as we were driving. And I was going through a lot of stuff at that time. And so one of the ways that I dealt with some of my frustrations was I just ran, and I ran as hard as I possibly could to where my heart felt like it was gonna beat out of my chest. It's probably not the most healthy thing you can do, so don't do that. But I would run and run and run. And so we get there, and Mike's like, "Hey, so if you want to run, just go, man. I'll catch up at the end." And I'm like, "All right." And so I just started taking off. I started booking it, I started running as hard as I could. And my heart was just beating. And about halfway through, about 1.5 miles in, I started realizing I am such an idiot. Like, why am I mad at someone who's trying to help me? And yet the anger that I was having, that was supposed to be in the moment, was geared toward this other person. I had to really start bringing some correction to myself. I shouldn't be angry at either of them. I first need to bring forgiveness. And so we finished the run and everything, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I am so wrong. And so I went home and I just started praying, and I asked God to forgive me to having all of this bitterness inside of me. Because you know what bitterness does? Number one, it keeps you far, far away from God. But number two, it starts rotting you. Like if you were an apple, and you look all good on the outside, but as soon as you bite into that apple and it's just brown and rotting, it would be the most disgusting experience you could ever have in your life. That is what happens to your bones with bitterness inside of you. It rots you from the inside, and you don't even realize it. And then all of a sudden, one day, it's just going to explode. I'm telling you, it's the worst experience you're ever going to go through. I would encourage you, like Pastor Justin preached last week, forgive, 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 forgive. 70 times 7, 7 times, whatever it is, God's saying keep forgiving. Forgive just as God forgave you. So, that was a really tough conversation. But I am so glad Mike had the courage to tell me that he could see some bitterness kind of bubbling up a little bit, and to be careful because it could go wrong. And he legit saved my life that day. There is a lot of stuff that you and I go through every single day, and you need to have tough conversations. And I'm going to say this again, like I've been saying for the past 2 weeks, or even I really pushed it last week. If you're not going to have a tough conversation, or someone else isn't going to initiate it, you need to be the first one to initiate it. You need to be the first one to, I guess you could say, you're going to be the bigger man or bigger woman and have to confront someone and talk about the hard stuff that you're going through. One time I was on my computer and my friend was living at my house, and I didn't realize this, but he's been looking at pornography and stuff. And so it's my computer. And so go figure, my mom checks my computer and finds that there's been pornography looked at. So she brings me downstairs and she says, we need to talk about your computer. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world would I have? I didn't do anything. What's going on? And lo and behold, she points out that there's been pornography looked on this computer, and it was the most awkward, toughest conversation I think I've ever been in, and I freaked out. I'm like, I don't know, Mom, it wasn't me. But the fact is that it was on my computer. And then I had to have a tough conversation with someone, and it was my friend. Some of us might be going through something right now, and we don't know how to handle it. I want to encourage you, and this is going to be hard to do. You need to talk to your family. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a line that you can start with, but that's all I can do. After that, it's in your court. It's in your ball court. Here's how I would start a conversation with my mom or dad or anyone if I'm struggling with something. Hey, I don't know how to do this. I've never done this before, and I'm really embarrassed about it. I'm not sure how to handle it. But I'm coming to you for help. And so when I tell you what I'm about to tell you, please, I just want to know that this is a safe place. And then I would say, hey Mom, hey Dad, hey my sister, brother, whatever, whoever I'm talking to, I'm struggling with pornography, or I'm struggling with drugs, I'm struggling with hate in my heart, whatever it may be, I'm struggling. I was wondering if maybe you could help me get through this. I don't know what to do. And I guarantee the people that you're talking to also don't know what to do. But that's why it's so good to have these really tough conversations, because then together you start to work on getting help. Not only are you getting help, but the people that are helping you are also learning how to help. That's why tough conversations are so important. You know who's really good at tough conversations? And I love her to death, and I know she wouldn't care that I'm gonna say this. Jenny Leach is amazing at tough conversations. There's so much love just built up inside of her. She wants to come to you in love to tell you what maybe you're doing something wrong, or maybe she's having a hard time and did something wrong. She is so good at it. If you want to learn about tough conversations and how to have them, she's the woman. She could teach classes on how to have tough conversations. And because of that, both of her girls are really good, and they're brave, and there's courage inside of them, even though they might not think so, to have tough conversations. That's a lesson that we all need to learn as people and as a family. So, I haven't even talked about the Bible yet, and I'm already 12 minutes into my sermon. I don't know if you know this guy. His name's Isaac, and his wife was Rebecca.
God's story, Jacob and Esau. So part of God's story is about twin brothers, and it begins like this. Once, there were twins named Jacob and Esau, and they didn't get along. They actually started fighting before they were born. Then during birth, Esau came out first, but Jacob was holding on to his heel. That's not normal, and they even look different. The Bible says Esau's body was covered in so much red hair, it was almost like he had clothes on. Jacob's skin was smooth. Well, they got even more different as they grew up. Esau hunted animals and spent time outside. Their dad, Isaac, was a big meat eater, so Esau was his favorite. Jacob, on the other hand, was a quiet guy who liked to stay indoors. Their mom, Rebecca, liked Jacob the best. The Bible doesn't talk much about Jacob and Esau as kids, But we do know Esau was lucky to be the oldest because he had what's called a birthright. That meant Esau would be in charge of their family, including all their money, land, and stuff. Jacob would probably have to work for his brother Esau, and their dad Isaac would give Esau a blessing, which means Isaac would ask God to take care of his oldest son Esau in an extra special way. Well, you probably think Esau was pretty excited about this, but he wasn't. In fact, one day he gave it up. He'd just returned from a hunting trip. Since he was out killing animals all day, he didn't have time to eat. He came home starving. Jacob was making stew, so Esau said, "Quick, give me some of that stew. I'm very hungry." Now, Jacob was a little sneaky, so he didn't just share the stew with his hungry brother, which would have been nice. Instead, he said, "First, sell me your birthright." And guess what? Esau said yes. It's a little like paying $1 million for a bowl of mushy soup. We don't know why Esau did that, but the Bible says he didn't care about the birthright. But later, when Isaac was really old and about to die, he wanted to ask God to take special care of his firstborn Esau. So he told Esau to go hunting and make him some tasty food, maybe for the last time. Now, Esau wanted the birthright, so he left right away to hunt. Meanwhile, Rebekah had heard Isaac and Esau talking, and remember, Jacob was her favorite. She wanted him to get the blessing, so she did something really sneaky. She told Jacob, "I will prepare tasty food for your father. You take it to your father to eat. Then he'll give you his blessing before he dies." See, Isaac was blind. She was telling Jacob to pretend he was Esau. But there was a slight problem with her plan. First off, Esau was hairy. So if Isaac touched Jacob's smooth skin, he would know the truth. The Bible says Esau had a certain smell too, which might be a polite way of saying he stunk. I mean, imagine how smelly a guy would be if he was always sweating and getting dead animal blood stuck on his clothes and matted in his hairy skin. And this was before deodorant. So even though Isaac was blind, he might smell Jacob or touch his smooth arm and know the truth. Well, Rebekah was sneaky like Jacob. She told Jacob to put sheepskin on his arms and wear some of Esau's smelly clothes. Now Isaac would never know. And even though Isaac wondered why the voice sounded like Jacob, guess what? The trick worked. Jacob got the blessing. Now Esau would have to work for him. As you might imagine, Esau was furious. In fact, Rebekah had to help Jacob run away so Esau wouldn't kill him.
Later on, Jacob wants to get back together with his brother Esau, and he wants to pretty much just ask forgiveness. And Esau has his own city, or at least his city that he's living in, and Jacob has his city that he's living in. And Jacob sends him gifts and stuff and says, "I want to meet." And so they do. And you can imagine the tough conversation that took place. But here's what's cool. Esau did not allow the bitterness, like in my story, he didn't allow the bitterness to take over. He didn't allow the anger to continue to bubble up inside of him. Instead, they both wanted a relationship with one another, and it worked out where they're loving brothers, I guess you could say again. So here's my main point for you guys, and I'm going to read it for you really quick. It's in Matthew 18:15 through 17. If your brother and sister, or your brother or sister sin, go and point out their fault just between the two of you. Listen, just between the two of you. If they listen to you, hey, thumbs up. You have won them over. But if they will not listen, take one or two others along. I want to clarify this because I want to tear apart this verse a little bit, because some people are like, well, let's bring some friends and let's tag on them and let's beat them down and let's beat them into submission. No. Here's the key. It says, bring one or two others along so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. That's the key. These other 2 or 1 person that you bring along have also experienced it themselves. Not heard it from your mouth and you bragged about it, but that they actually witnessed it. Hi. Steven, say hi. Can you say hi? Hi. Ah, he's such a big boy. So that's what I want to make sure you guys understand, is that you're not just bringing someone along to tag team them because you've been talking about them, but they also have witnessed it. If they still refuse to listen, tell the church. And if they refuse to listen to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector. Back in the day, pagans obviously and tax collectors were not treated very well. Very standoffish, push away, don't come near me. So, in other words, if people are really not wanting to listen to you and they're friends of yours, you need to choose, is that the type of friend you really want to be around? Someone who's going to continue to hurt you, or when you try to help them and they lie to you and they just keep pushing you away. At some point, you're just going to end up being like, okay, I have friends that also care about you, that have witnessed the same thing, and they too are being pushed away by you. I guess our relationship is going to be in your hands. I'm going to push you away, but when you're ready, come back and I would be your friend in a heartbeat. So I guess that's what I want to leave you guys with this. As a family, you need to be willing to have the tough conversations. The ones that you dread. The ones that are just kind of boiling at the surface of the water inside of you, that you're kind of like, I have a feeling or an emotion that I'm dealing with right now, but I'm not sure if I want to talk about that with my parents or with my sibling. I feel like it's going to go real bad real fast. You know what? Every situation that I approach with people about stuff that I feel like they may need help or I need help, I come to them with the most loving heart that I possibly can. And I say things like, I'm having a hard time with this. I was wondering if you could clarify for me where I might be struggling, or where maybe you can help me understand what you are struggling with. And I want to help. So, hey, have those tough conversations. Love one another the entire time. And like I said the last couple weeks, tough conversations. God can use your family, and pray with your family. Simple things you can do to make your relationships with your family stronger. That's awesome. So guys, have a good week. I hope this message helps you. I know for sure it helped me as I was walking my walk with Christ and with my family. So have a good week, guys.